Hello guitaristas, my name is Adina and you are watching the Spanish Guitar Hub, and today we will look at a popular distinctive sounding flamenco scale which is the Phrygian dominant, and after this lesson you will learn something like this. So today we will look at what kind of notes you need to use to play this scale, how you can practice it and some ways to practice it, also what kind of chords you need to use for this scale, and also in the end we will make up a chord progression and I will do an improvisation on this scale so you can see and hear how it sounds in real life. The tabs and the backing track is available on my Patreon campaign, so if you would like to get some extra with my YouTube videos, please support me on Patreon and also to make these YouTube videos. To play this scale with your right hand, I'm always using a picado, which means an alternate picking in between the index and middle finger, and I'm always end up on the next string. Okay, so the Phrygian dominant is very similar to the Phrygian scale, which we already looked at, and there is only one note difference in between the Phrygian scale and the Phrygian dominant, but actually it makes a massive difference, especially because it will make this scale a major scale instead of the minor scale. And this note is the third note. Also today we will look at the A Phrygian dominant, so it means the root note is an A, the root note is always a starting note of a scale. So the Phrygian scale sounds like this. This is one octave, and that's what we were looking at before, but here there is only one difference and it is the third note. So the third note is raised one step, which means you will hear this different sound, and it's very distinctive and easy to recognize. So it will be okay, so now we will look at what kind of notes you need to use exactly to play this scale, and we will start on the A note, which is the 5th fret on the E string. And after we go to 6 and then 9. Actually, when you play this, it's better to stay on the strings with your other finger, so you need to be able to stretch. At the beginning it might be difficult, but after a while you will get flexible enough. Next string, 5, 7, 8. Next string, 5, 7, 8. Next string, 6, 7. Next string, 5, 6, 8. Next string, 5, 6, 9. So now that we know what kind of notes we need to use, we will go on to the next step, and this is how you can practice it. I always tell you to practice with a metronome, especially when you are practicing scales. Of course, when you are learning the shape, don't use the metronome. So you just play up and down on the scale until you know the shape. Once you know the shape, you can start using your metronome. And now we will play in 3 different speeds, so you see how does it look like when you actually start using it with the metronome. The first speed will be 80 BPM and 1 note per beat. 140 BPM. And lastly, 100 BPM, 2 notes per beat. Okay, the next way we will practice the scale will be the double triplets, but there are so many different ways to practice it. Double triplets means that we will play 3 notes on the scale twice, and after we will move on to the next step of the scale. But I will show some other ways on my Patreon campaign to practice it with the tabs. we will arrive to look at what kind of chords you need to use to play this scale. And because there are like 7 different steps or 7 different notes, it means 7 different combinations and 7 different chords. So we will look at each of the chords from the starting of the scale. So the first chord will be an A major. And after we will have a B flat or A sharp major. And then the next step will be C sharp diminished. And after we will have a D minor. And then we will have an E diminished. And after we will have an F augmented. And after we will have a G diminished. So the chords are a little mysterious as well, like the scale, but we will be still able to make up a chord progression. And I made up a chord progression for you. I will play with a rumba technique. And if you would like to learn these techniques or a lot of other strumming techniques, I actually have a guitar course which is available on Amazon or on my website. So please go to my website or Amazon if you would like to have that one. It has 19 guitar lessons and loads of exercises coming with a DVD. So the chord progression sounds like this. Hello guitaristas, my name is Adina and you are watching the Spanish Guitar Hub, and today I'm going to teach you the G major scale, and after this lesson you will learn something like this.